Okay, so this chapter is another reminder that Rebecca is actually a pretty intelligent character. Because usually she comes off as being pretty ditzy, and I don't mean that as to say that she's a complete idiot or anything like that, but in the early chapters of the series, Hero pretty much established that she was going to be more of an airhead type of character. So every time he actually takes the time to show us that she's pretty intelligent, it's actually a nice surprise. But anyway, the chapter picks up where the last one left off, with Rebecca having lost, I believe, the sixth round of Lost Card. So she's down to basically just one piece of clothing left. And she actually lost the round twice by using reverse to go back in time and switch the positions of her cards, so that knowing which card Lyra will pick, she would end up picking up the 1 instead of the 5, and now knowing where Lyra put her 5 at, she would actually end up picking that up instead. But somehow, even after using reverse, Lyra still ended up winning that round by getting the 5 once again, despite the fact that Rebecca switched the position of the card and Lyra picked up the exact same card she picked up the first time they did the 6th round, and Rebecca picked up a different card knowing where the 5 was this time. She still ended up losing 5 to 1. So obviously Rebecca realizes that Lyra is somehow cheating, but because of the fact that she's panicking so much because she can only use reverse one more time, and she only has one piece of clothing left before she ends up losing her legs, and remembering what happened to the alternate future timeline version of herself where she had lost her legs and ended up in a coma, it's understandable that she would actually be pretty scared in the situation because she hasn't figured out exactly how Lyra is cheating just yet. She just knows that Lyra is somehow changing the positions of the 1 and the 5 to be wherever she wants them to be, so that when she picks up the card, it's always going to be the result that she wants. And this is actually the key to how Rebecca ends up figuring out exactly how Lyra is cheating, because of the fact that she always ends up winning with the 5 versus Rebecca's 1. But anyway, they move on to the 7th round, and Rebecca actually ends up copying the same format that Lyra used for her cards in the 1st round, where she stacks 4 on top of each other and puts 1 outside of the deck, trying to lure her opponent into thinking that might be the 1 or the 5, and trying to guide them into picking either that card or a middle card so they can get a lower number. But anyway, they turn the tables around, and once again, Lyra wins by picking up the 5, while Rebecca gets the 1. So yeah, she ends up losing the 7th round, and now she is just completely naked in front of the entire crowd, obviously very embarrassed. And Lyra is actually putting on an entire show, just basically upping the amount of embarrassment that Rebecca's feeling right now. And I can't remember a specific moment in Fairy Tail where something like this happened, but I feel like something very similar to this happened to Lucy in one of the arcs of Fairy Tail. Anyway, before the 8th round starts, Rebecca actually uses reverse to go back to prior to the 7th round beginning, and that was actually her last safe reverse, which means that if she uses it again in this arc, she's going to suffer some major consequences. In fact, we actually see her suffer some consequences using it this last time in the chapter by suffering those cracks that she gets on her skin that she kind of figured out happens when she overuses the ability the first time she was testing it out. But anyway, she goes back in time, she uses that ability, and she actually ends up collapsing a little bit onto the ground, and Lyra actually shows a little bit concerned by the fact that Rebecca is collapsing onto the ground. So maybe this is hinting that she, just like Milani, isn't as bad as she's coming off to be. But she quickly gets over that, and basically Rebecca goes and plays the game the exact same way she did in the original timeline, or the original time, where basically she stacks 4 cards on top of each other, puts 1 on the outside of the deck, and then when they turn the tables, once again Lyra pulls a 5 and Rebecca pulls a 1. But before they reveal what their cards are to the entire crowd, Rebecca actually reveals to everyone that Lyra is definitely cheating using her Ether Gear ability to somehow change which card she and Rebecca actually ends up picking up. Because what Rebecca actually did was, when she actually collapsed onto the ground, she took the 5 from her deck, or her stack of cards, and placed it inside her chest, and then ripped up the 4, and then stacked it to look like there's actually 4 cards in the deck, and she put that 1 card to the side. So when Lyra draws a 5 in this round, there's really no way she could actually done it because Rebecca is still holding on to her 5 cards, which she proves by pulling out the card and showing it to the entire crowd. And this is why I said that if Lyra had actually won any of the other rounds by using something besides the 1 and the 5 result, then Rebecca might not have been able to figure out exactly how she's cheating. Because of the fact that Lyra always used the 1 and the 5 as the end result for her wins, Rebecca basically was able to play this trap. If she had chosen to win any other round by using the 3 and the 4 or the 2 and the 3, then it would have been impossible for Rebecca to pretty much predict which card Lyra would end up picking up, so this trap wouldn't have worked. But anyway, now that Rebecca's revealed to the entire crowd that Lyra's been cheating this entire time, she is completely embarrassed and decides, you know what, fuck the crowd, fuck Rebecca, she's just gonna fight her hands to hand instead of playing this game. But before the two of them can actually get into a fight, Shiki and Calm actually come crashing through the ground, and it seems like at first it's gonna be a 4-way fight between Shiki and Rebecca versus Lyra and Calm. Then out of nowhere, Jin and Klein actually come crashing to the ceiling, and we set up a fight between those 4 instead. So seemingly now it's going to be Jin and Klein fighting off against Lyra and Calm, while Shiki and Rebecca actually get to run away. Which really shouldn't work because of the fact that Rebecca still has that bomb in her choker, and Lyra has that card to pull whenever Rebecca tries to get away. But somehow she conveniently forgets about it in this chapter. And I mean, we really were never confirmed there actually is a bomb. We're just kind of taking her word for it. But still, you would think that she would at least threaten that in order to keep Rebecca around. But despite the fact that it seems like Hiro just kind of forgot about the whole plot point of Rebecca having a bomb around her neck, I do like the idea of him setting up this fight because after we got that whole training with Master Zeno for that week, I was really hoping that we'd actually get to see in this arc a serious fight with Jin and Klein, showing off exactly how much stronger they become. And, more than likely what's going to end up happening is we're going to get a fight between Jin and Callum, and Klein and Lyra. But I'm kind of hoping that maybe Hiro will actually just flip the script on us and actually have Jin fight Lyra and have Callum fight Klein. Because otherwise, if we have the original way I said, it's just going to kind of be a mirror match because Jin and Callum are both kind of ninjas. And Lyra and Klein actually have a little bit of a similarity to each other. So I'd kind of like it better if we actually flip the script on who ends up fighting who. Now, because of the fact that the two of them are here and they mentioned the fact that they actually got rid of most of the bots or most of the ships around Eden Zero, that means that more than likely Laguna's probably just taking care of the last remaining ones, and then he's going to end up showing up in the dome at some point, which I've been calling for a while now because I do believe that Ijuna, Shore's assistant, most likely is the princess character that he mentioned a few chapters ago. So I'm really hoping that we actually get a confrontation between the two of them where we actually do reveal that. But yeah, that's where the chapter ends, setting up that fight between those four characters. Now, this actually isn't really relevant to the chapter, but going back and looking at exactly how Lyra does actually cheat during the Lost Card game, it really makes me wonder, how did she lose that one game to Poseidon? Because in the last chapter, remember, she revealed to us that the only game she ever lost after playing this card game like 100 times was to Poseidon. But with her ability to basically change cards to be whatever she ends up wanting it to be, I don't really see a way for Poseidon to actually end up winning without revealing that she's cheating the same way that Rebecca did. And it's kind of hard to believe that he actually would be able to figure out that she's cheating without using the kind of reversibility that Rebecca has. So maybe the dice played a role in that somehow, like maybe his dice revealed to him that, Lyra's cheating in some way. But other than that, I can't really think of a way he could actually end up winning this fight without actually forcing her to not use her Ether Gear ability. Which, I mean, I guess maybe he has some way to kind of negate both their abilities so that neither one can use them, so that it came down to just pure luck. Or he might just intimidated her to the point where she actually kind of got too scared to use her ability and ended up losing that way. But still, it does bring up the question, how did Poseidon actually end up winning that one game against Lyra? Anyway, that's it for the chapter, guys. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get more of the Creed and Homura kind of situation going on, because that was actually very comedic in the last chapter. But this was actually a very exciting chapter, and I cannot wait to see what ends up happening next. Unfortunately, I don't think Rebecca's going to be getting any more fights because of the fact that her reverse ability is all used up. Unless Hiro wants to show us exactly what happens when she pushes that ability too far and tries to use it one more time. Maybe that will happen, or, if she ends up meeting up with Happy and the rest of them again, and she gets her guns back, she could fight that way, but that would mean that her opponent would have to be very weak if she actually ends up defeating them without actually having to use a reverse ability or cat leap in any way. But that's it for the chapter, guys. Thanks for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop me a like and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Comment down below what you thought about the chapter, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.